Welcome back to Ms. Schleybecker's video tutorials. In this chapter 3, we're dealing with learning how to set up a document. You can see that you're going to complete pages 3.3 to 355. Good news, guys, there's not 52 pages worth of work. A lot of it's reading and you can just kind of skip over it, look over the basic graphics and refer back to them if you ever need them. But we know most of the definitions already because those definitions are also used in Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. A couple of the words like master pages, templates, those are going to be new, but we can figure out what those things mean as we move on. So we'll skip over to page 312 already and open up 3/1. Just hit OK if you get a little dialog box. And then we're going to press Shift W to enter presentation mode. Ooh, nice. So you can see the image and it looks completely, you don't have any tools showing. And so if I was working with a client, I could say, oh, look, take a look at my work. And there's no distractions around the work. Use the right and left arrow keys on your computer to flip through the pages. So it's like we're flipping through a book. These are different pages of the book. Okay. The document is composed of 5 two-page spreads for a total of 10 pages. You can see an example of that at page 312. I highly recommend you do that. Look at page 312. So we're going to press Escape to leave presentation mode. And press Tab to show the panels if necessary. So mine are showing. Here's I'm hitting Tab and they're not showing. Tab and they're showing. And then we're going to look at our Pages panel. So open up your Pages panel. You can see this is the spread. Right now we're on page 2 and 3. We know we're on page 2 and 3. See, this is page 2 right here. And then if I scroll over, that's page 3. Okay? We know we're on page 2 and 3 because it's highlighted. It says View Spread 4 and 5. So I'm going to double click right here on the words 4 and 5. Pretty pixelated, isn't it? Okay, so now we're going to close this document without saving. I will zoom out a little bit so we can see it. Okay. So we're going to close this file without saving it. No. And then we're going to verify that no documents are open. We're going to click Edit on the menu bar and then point to Preferences and then click on Units and Increments. Over here on Units and Increments, we're going to click the horizontal list arrow right here and make it inches. Click the vertical list arrow and make it inches too. Click File on the menu bar. We're going to hit OK first. And then click File. And then point to New Document. So we have a new dialog box that's come up. Looks like that. Verify that the intent is set to print. So this is your intent. We're going to click on Print. Type 10 for the number of pages. And this early step, I've seen a lot of people mess up in this early step, so it's good you guys are watching the video. Verify that the facing page box is checked, which it is. Then verify that the start page number is set to 1. It is. Type 6.25 for the width text box. Type 4.75 for the height text box. Then click the Landscape Orientation button. Type 2 in the number text box in the column section, or you can click on here. 2. It says type 2 in the number text box in the column section. Then verify that the gutter box is set to 0.1667 inches. Type 0.5 in the top margins text box. So we're going to click on margins to expand it. And then we want it to set, it's 0.5, which it already is, so I don't have to type anything. Then verify that the Make All Settings the Same button is activated, so the little lock button. You want it this unlocked, and then that's locked. So we want to make sure it's locked. Compare your dialog box to figure 14, and then click OK. So ours looks a little different than what you see in the book because we have a newer version of Adobe InDesign than what you see in the book, but basically we have columns, gutter, margins 0.5 for everything, and then the bleed and slug we don't have to worry about, but everything's pretty much the same. Okay. So now it tells us to hit OK. Slight difference again is that we need to not hit OK, we will hit Create. So go ahead and click on Create. And then we're going to go to click File. And then on the menu bar, then Document Setup. Right here. Note that the margin column and columns sections are not available in the document setup. Change the start page to number 2. And then hit OK. Okay, we're turning the page. We're on page 314 at the very top, and now we're going to save this document. So you want to go to File, Save As, and then I am saving mine in my Google Drive under my book lessons for Adobe InDesign Chapter 2, and I'm going to save this as Setup, and then hit Save. Actually, this is a new chapter. So let's go ahead and I'm going to hit a new folder. No, I don't want to do that there. Let's go back here to Adobe InDesign. And now I want to create a new folder. This is Chapter 3. And let's open that up. And now we hit Setup and Save. Okay. Moving on. Set the workspace to Essentials. So right here we're at typography. This is our workspace. It doesn't tell you how to do this. The book doesn't tell you how to do this because it's going to assume that you already know because we've done this in previous assignments. And we're going to click on Essentials. Double click the A Master on the Pages panel. So we're working in our master page. Note that both the master pages and the Pages menu become blue. Then note that the Pages menu at the lower left corner of the document window lists a master. Mine says Master 1. Okay, so we're going to click Layout on the menu bar. And then click Margins and Columns. Set the number of columns to 3. Have it changed your image? Now you have 3 text columns on here. Reduce the width of the margins on all 4 sides to 0.125. 0.125. And I just clicked over here so that we could verify that all 4 have changed. And we're going to hit OK and then save our file. Moving on to page 315. If the rulers are not visible at the top and left document window, click View. Mine are visible, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on View and then Show Rulers. And mine says Hide Rulers, but yours will say Show Rulers if your rulers are not showing. Okay. Click your selection tool. Position the pointer over the horizontal ruler. Click anywhere and slowly drag down a guide, releasing it anywhere on the page. So remember, you click inside the ruler and then slowly drag down and release it. A guide is positioned only on the left side of the spread. Click Edit on the menu bar. Undo Add New Guide. Press Control, then click and drag down from the horizontal ruler. So now I'm going to hit Control and drag down, and it's going to give me a guide that goes to both sides. Type 2.5 in the Y location, 2.5, and then press Enter. It'll change the position of the first guide that I set up. While pressing Control, drag a second spread guide from the horizontal ruler and drop the guide anywhere on the spread. Control, drag, and I dropped it. Then set its Y location to 3.5. All right. Click Edit. Point to Preferences. And then click Units and Increments. Moving on to page 316. In the Rulers Unit section, verify that the origin is set to spread. Origin is set to spread, and then click OK. Okay, drag a guide from the vertical ruler on the left side of the document, then use the control panel to position the X value to 8.35. So I'm going to click here and drag out, drop it anywhere I want, and then we're going to highlight this at the top and type 8.35 and hit Enter. Whoops, I put 9. 8.35. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to move this over. It looks like, oh, there's the new guide that I set. We can see it better. I'm going to minimize my panels. Okay. Using the selection tool, click the first horizontal guide that you positioned at 2.5. If you don't know which one's at 2.5, you can look at the ruler and you can see that this is 2 inches and that's 2.5 inches. So it says, using the selection tool, click the first horizontal guide that you positioned at 2.5 to select it. Then double click. The Y location and in the transform, it wants us to double click it in the transform panel. So we're going to open up our transform panel because it's not showing. So we click on Window, and then I believe it's under Objects and Layout, and then click on Transform. So here's our transform panel. Mine came up in the other window. So we need to type 3.4. And hit enter. Position a third horizontal spread guide to 3.25 from the top of the page. So what it's saying spread, so it wants to cross the whole thing. So I'm going to click on, I'm holding control, click on the rulers and dragging down. And then I can click here or here, double click, and we can make that 3.25 and hit enter. Compare your spread and guides to figure 17, which mine looks just like it on page 116 of the book. All right, moving on. We're on page 317. It says verify that the fill and stroke button in the tool panel are both set to none. So that's none, that's none. Click the type tool. Click and drag to create a small text frame anywhere in the rightmost column above the horizontal guides. Click the selection tool. Drag the left and right handles of the text frame so that it extends full width of the column. So I'm going to click and drag, and that's already over here. If it wasn't, then I would just resize it. So if it was here, I would resize it by clicking and dragging. Drag the bottom handle down until it snaps to the topmost horizontal guide. Okay. Okay, click the bottom center reference point on the control panel. So here is these are the reference points. And I need to click the bottom center one. And we're going to type 1.375 in the height. So we need to find height right here. And type 1.375. And then press enter. So that changes the height of my text box. Press and hold Shift Alt and drag a copy of the text frame into the left so that the page resembles figure 19. So we have this selected, and I'm going to press and hold Shift Alt, and then we're going to drag a copy of it right here and let go. We're going to save our work. Okay, moving on to page 318. I'm going to resume this video on I'll resume it on chapter 3, part 2.